Good day, learners! For today's video, we will learn about force. Force is a push or pull that can make an object move, stop moving, or change the direction of motion. Pulling is the force you exert to move something closer to you. When you pull a block, it moves toward you. The opposite of pulling is pushing. Pushing is the force you exert to move something away from you. When you push a block, it moves away from you. Now, question: what is the unit of force? The unit of force is Newton, denoted by capital letter N, named after Sir Isaac Newton, an English physicist and mathematician. To fully understand the concept of force, we have to define these terminologies. First is the magnitude. It refers to the size or strength of the force, how strong you push or pull an object. Next is the direction. It points to where the object goes, up, down, left, or right. Then the point of application. It is the location where the force is applied. And finally, the line of action. It is the straight line parallel to the direction of the force. Now, why is it important for us to learn about force? What can force do? Of course, force can make the object move, like a golf player uses a force to move the golf ball. A force can change the direction of a moving object. A volleyball player uses a force to move the ball in a different direction. A force can also make a moving object to speed up. A cyclist uses a bigger force to pedal her bicycle and increase its speed. Another one is that a force can stop a moving object. A baseball player uses a force to catch the ball and stop it from moving. And finally, a force can also change the property of a material. A baker uses a force to change the shape and consistency of his mixture. Now, there are two main categories of forces. What are those? First is the contact force, and second is the non-contact force. Contact forces result from two objects touching each other. Applied force, friction force. We also have normal force and tension force. Now, what is an applied force? From the word itself, applied force is a force given to an object or person, just like pushing a wall. Another contact force is a friction force, the force which is always opposite to the applied force. Next is a normal force, the force that acts perpendicular to the surface of the object in contact with. And lastly, we have the tension force, the force that uses string, rope, chain, or cable. The second category of force is a non-contact force. It is the force that acts on an object without touching each other. First, we have the magnetic force. It is the force that attracts or repels magnetic objects. It is the push or pull exerted by a magnet. Second is the gravitational force. It is the force by which an object attracts another object towards itself. The Earth pulls objects towards itself due to its gravitational force. And lastly, the electrostatic force. It is the force that exists between electrically charged particles. Forces can also be balanced or unbalanced. It is said to be balanced if the forces are equal, there is no movement, and the net force is zero. Unbalanced force is when forces are unequal, has movement, and the net force is not zero. But the question is, what is a net force? A net force, also known as a resultant force, is the sum of all the forces acting on an object. Just like what you can see in the diagram, there are 4 forces acting on a box. To solve for the net force, the formula is force 1 plus force 2, or it depends on how many forces are acting on an object. Another thing that we need to consider to solve for the net force is subtract if forces are in opposite direction and add if forces are in the same direction, just like in the diagram here. Now, let's try to solve for the value of net force. A cabinet is pushed with an applied force of 500 Newton, having a frictional force of 50 Newton. How much is the net force acting on the cabinet? First, you have to get the given values. Second, the unknown, or what are we going to solve? Third, the formula, then the solution, and lastly, the answer. The given values in the problem is 500 Newton, our applied force, and 50 Newton, our frictional force. The unknown is the net force of the cabinet, and the formula to be used is net force is equal to force 1 minus force 2. Remember that friction always acts opposite to the direction of the applied force. That's the reason why we have to subtract. For the solution, that's gonna be 500 Newton minus 50 Newton. The answer is 450 Newton. Now, can you try to answer the second problem solving that we have? You can pause the video and compare your answer later. Now, try to check your own work. Did you get it right? Remember that tug of war is a game between 2 teams pulling a rope in opposite direction. Since Jake has 15 Newton of force contributing to Team B with 120 Newton of force, you have to add first 120 Newton and 15 Newton before subtracting it to the force of Team A, which is 150 Newton. So 150 Newton minus 135 Newton is equal to 15 Newton. So that's it. I hope you learned something today. Thanks for watching.